Hello everyone, Chag Sameach and welcome to this virtual Simchat Torah celebration. It's great to have you there. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we had such a great program ahead of us. But this is one of the most joyous moments of the year. It's the time where we realize how blessed we are as a people to have the Torah to guide our lives. See, sometimes we take things for granted, and that's not a good practice. We have to be able to thank for everything that happens in our lives. Today, we are thanking God for the gift of Torah, because the Torah prepares our soul for the Olam Haba, for the other life, and the Torah prepares our body for this life. That's why I always say that the Torah, whenever we say Torah, we are talking about the mitzvot of the Torah, but also the principles of the Torah, the wisdom of the Torah. The Torah has wisdom for every aspect of our life. That's why this is a family celebration, because the Torah has words of wisdom for every family member. If you work, the Torah has wisdom for your jobs. If you're a student, the Torah will have wisdom for you. If you are married, the Torah will have wisdom for you. If you are single, well, the Torah has great pickup lines if you're single. It's like this one that I heard that said, I've been reading the book of Numbers lately, and I just realized I don't have yours. So we are so happy to have the Torah to guide our lives, that we have Simchat Torah and we celebrate. And so we have a great program, as I mentioned before, but this is something that was produced by the entire clergy team of Shari Zedek. So we thank Rabbi Matthew Leibel, Dr. Rina Sekter-Elbaz, Bill Weisman, Leslie Emery, Marvin Polanski, who did most of the audiovisual production for some of the pieces that you're going to see today, and Robert Didich, who helped us with all the marketing and advertisement for this event. So great things to do today. And tonight is the time where we finish the last bit of the Torah, and immediately after, we go back to the very beginning, and we start from the very beginning, from the Genesis. To do that, we have something that is called the Hakafot. We take the Torah out of the ark, and in the normal circumstances, we will dance and go around the sanctuary 7 times. That's what we call the 7 Hakafot. We are living in times of social distancing. So we created something the best we could under the circumstances to replicate that experience, so we can all sing and dance with the Torah. We have so many people in the chat. Let me go back here. Who is here? Kathy Hillard. Hello. Shelly Chochinov. Chag Sameach. Phyllis Leibman. Chag Sameach. David and Hava Salita. Sarah Bloomberg. Louis Stern. Hello. Chag Sameach. The whole family. Judy Murray-Nazen. Welcome. Okay. So let's begin with the first Hakafa. But before that, I would just remind you, this is the first time that you catch one of our streams. Please remember to subscribe to our channel. If you hit the bell, you are going to be notified every time we upload something new or we go live. So you won't miss any of the content that Congregation Shari Zedek uploads to the net. So let's begin with the Hakafot. We're about to take the Torah out of the ark, and we are going to sing and dance. Please don't be shy, and don't be a spectator, be a participator, and let's enjoy this time together. Let's get to it. Okay, everyone, it's time to begin with our Hakafot. For the first Hakafah, we have 2 stanzas, and actually, there are 2 words that you have to sing with me. One is Hoshiana, and the other one is Hatzlichana. Hoshiana goes like this. Hoshiana. Let's try it.
Hoshiana.
And Hatzlichana goes like this. Hatzlichana.
Hatzlichana.
Very nice. Let's try it all together. Let's begin with the first Hakafa. Ana Adonai. Together. Hoshiana. Ana Adonai. Hatzlichana. Ana Adonai Anenu Veyom Korenu. Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu, Anenu Veyom Korenu. Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu, Anenu Veyom Korenu. Second verse. Elohei Aruchot. Together. Hoshiana. Bochen Levavot. Together. Hatzlichana. Goel Chazakanenu. Beyom Korenu. Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu, Veyom Korenu. Anenu, Anenu, Veyom Korenu. Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu, Veyom Korenu. Anenu, Anenu, Veyom Korenu. Let's see if you know this song. ושמחתי וחגך והיית שמח ושמחת וחגך והיית שמח. Again. ושמחת בחגך והיית שמח ושמחת בחגך והיית שמח. Together. Okay, so it's time for the second Hakafa. I hope you remember your part. Dover tzedakot Hoshiana Hadur vilvusho Hatzlichana Vatik vechasidaneinu Beyom Korenu. Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu Beyom Korenu. Anenu, Anenu Beyom Korenu. Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu Beyom Korenu. Anenu, Anenu Beyom Korenu. Hoshia et amecha וברך את נחלתך. הורם, 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 הורם ונשם, הורם ונשם עד העולם. הורם, 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 הורם ונשם, הורם ונשם עד העולם. הושיע את עמך וברך את נחלתך. הורם, 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 הורם ונשם, הורם ונשם עד העולם. הורם, 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 הורם ונשם, הורם ונשם עד העולם. Okay, so we are ready for the third Hakafa. remember to sing your part. Zach v'yashar Hoshiana Chomel Dalim Hatzlichana Tovu Meitivanenu Beyom Koreinu Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu, Beyom Koreinu Anenu, Anenu, Beyom Koreinu Ay, 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 Anenu, Anenu, Beyom Koreinu Anenu, Anenu, Beyom Koreinu Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Oti Alleluja Selah Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Oti Alleluja Selah Ashrei Am Shekacha Lo Ashrei Am Shadonai Elohav Ashrei Am Shekacha Lo Ashrei Am Shadonai Elohav Yam bidi bum bidi bum bidi 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 bum bidi bum bidi bum bidi 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 bum bidi bum bidi bum bidi bim bam bam. Yam bidi bum bidi bum bidi 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 bum bidi bum bidi bum bidi 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 bum bidi bum bidi bum bidi bim bam bam. Ashrei Am shekacha lo, Ashrei Am shadonai Elohav, Ashrei Am shekacha lo, Ashrei Am shadonai Elohav. Okay, so we are ready for the fourth Hakafah. Let's do it. Yodea machashavot Hoshiana Kavir v'nahor Hatzlichana Lovesh tzedakot aneinu Beyom koreinu Ay, ay, ay Anenu, anenu Beyom koreinu Anenu, anenu Beyom koreinu Ay, ay, ay Anenu, anenu Beyom koreinu Anenu, anenu Beyom koreinu David Melech Israel Chai Chai Vekayam David Melech Israel Chai Chai Vekayam David Melech Israel Chai Chai Vekayam Hoy David Melech Israel Chai Chai Vekayam David Melech Israel Chai Chai Vekayam David Melech Israel Chai Chai Vekayam Ufaratzta, 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 yama vaketma, tzafona vanekva. Ufaratzta, 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 yama vaketma, tzafona vanekva. Ufaratzta, yama vaketma, ufaratzta, tzafona vanekva. Ay, 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 ay. Ufaratzta, 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 yama vaketma, tzafona vanekva, yama vaketma, tzafona vanekva, ya ya ya, yama vaketma, tzafona vanekva, yama vaketma, tzafona vanekva. Okay, everyone, it's time for the fifth Hakafah. Remember, if you're using the Sidurim, we are at the bottom of page 62. Melech Olamim Hoshiana Naor Vehadir Hatzlichana Somech
נופלים עלינו ביום קורנו. איי, 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 עננו, עננו ביום קורנו. עננו, עננו ביום קורנו. איי, 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 עננו, עננו ביום קורנו. עננו, עננו ביום קורנו. הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום. Come on. הבאנו
שלום עליכם,
הבאנו
שלום עליכם,
הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם. That was great. Thank you so much for singing with us. And let's get ready with the next one. Okay, we're almost there. This is the 6th Hakafah. Remember to sing it with us. Ozer Dalim Hoshiana Podeh Umatzil Hatzlikana Sur Olami Maneinu Beyom Koreinu. Ay, 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 anenu, anenu, beyom Koreinu. Anenu, anenu, beyom Koreinu. Ay, 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 anenu, anenu, beyom Koreinu. Anenu, anenu, beyom Koreinu. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב. תורה ציווה לנו משה. מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב. תורה ציווה לנו משה. כמון. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב. תורה ציווה לנו משה. מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב. תורה ציווה לנו משה. Well, well, well. It's time for the 7th and last Hakafah. This one is also double, so don't go and sing too soon. It's going to be very clear when we all going to start singing and dancing the last of the songs with the Torah. And immediately after, we are going to continue with the Shema Israel, Echad Eloheinu, and Gadlu, that you may remember it from the Saturday morning services. Is also done for Simchat Torah. So let's get to it. Kadosh Venora. Really loud with me. Hoshiana. Rahum Vechanun. Come on. Hatzlichana. Shomer Aberitaneinu. Veyom Koreinu. Ay, ay, ay. Anenu, anenu. Veyom Koreinu. Anenu, anenu. Veyom Koreinu. Ay, ay, ay. Anenu, anenu. Veyom Koreinu. Anenu, anenu. Veyom Koreinu. Tomech temimi Hoshiana Takif la'at. Loud with me. Hatzlichana. Very good. Tamim B'masavanenu V'yom koreinu. Ay, ay, ay. Anenu, anenu. V'yom koreinu. Anenu, anenu. V'yom koreinu. Ay, ay, ay. Anenu, anenu. V'yom koreinu. Anenu, anenu. V'yom koreinu. Oh, come on, you know this one. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismecha. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismecha. Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Venismecha. Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Venismecha. Uruachim, let's sameach, Uruachim, let's sameach, Uruachim, let's sameach, Uruachim, let's sameach, Uruachim, Uruachim, let's sameach. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismecha. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismecha. Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Venismecha. Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Hava, Neranena, Venismecha. Uruachim, 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 Belev Sameach.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, yelanu.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, yelanu, 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 ulechol Israel, yelanu, yelanu, ulechol Israel, yelanu, yelanu, ulechol Israel, yelanu, yelanu, ulechol Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You answer.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kadosh Venora Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kadosh Venora Shemo.
We face the ark. Gadelu Adonai iti uneromema shemo yachdav lecha Adonai הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד כי כל בשמיים ובארץ כל בשמיים ובארץ כאדוני הממלכה ועם מתנשא לכל ראש רוממו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לאדון רגליו קדוש הוא רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
Great. Now that we took the Torah out of the ark, we have a very special part of the service. This is everybody's favorite and is the Torah tour with Rabbi Matthew. So I hope we have lots of kids in the other side. If you know any kid that might not be watching this, I strongly advise if you can take your phone and send a text message to everybody you know to tune in, because this is amazing what's coming up. Because we usually unfurl the whole Torah, right, in the auditorium, but we couldn't do it these days. Because all this, it's impossible to get that many people inside the building, but we created something amazing for all the kids and all the families. So it is my great pleasure to introduce to the world to the very first virtual Torah tour. Let's enjoy it together.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rabbi Matthew. I'm here to welcome you to the next part of our Simchat Torah celebration. This is a new twist on something we've been doing for several years here at Shaarei Tzedek for Simchat Torah, and that is our Torah tour. After all, Simchat Torah is our holiday where we celebrate reading the Torah. I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to see inside the Torah, because it really is something special, and there are a few places in the Torah that really catch your eye. I wanted to show them to you. Now, usually what we do is we get everybody into the auditorium at Congregation Shaarei Tzedek. We get all the adults to sit in chairs around the perimeter of the room, and we unfurl the whole Torah, which, by the way, goes around pretty much the entire auditorium. That's how long it is. And then the kids, they follow me along, and I point out a few of my favorite and some of the coolest places in the scroll. We can't exactly do that this year, but we've got technology on our side, and the Torah tour lives on. So please, come and join me. Let's start with the very beginning, the first first column of the Torah. Check it out.
Am I late?
Are you late?
Did I make it in time?
We just started the tour. Do you want to come?
Yeah!
This is Sunny, my old friend. I haven't seen Sunny in so long. Sunny, how have you been?
I'm great.
It's nice to have you here. I was going to say to all of our friends watching at home, but you can play along. What is the very first letter in the Torah?
It's a bet.
It is. It's a bet. Now, I want you all to remember this for later on. But yes, bet, like Breshit, and you can see it's made bigger. There are a bunch of different letters in the Torah throughout that are made bigger or sometimes smaller. We'll point a few of them out. Some of them have very cool stories. Others are kind of strange. But this is our first one, the big bet, to let us know Breshit, the beginning of the Torah.
Whoa.
You ready to go to the next spot?
Yeah!
Okay, come check this out. The Torah, you may know, is made up of 5 books. You'll see in a second that it's easy to tell where a new book begins in the Torah scroll because there's a big gap. But before we get to the next book, I want to show you one of my favorite places here in the first book of the Torah, which is also called Breshit, or in English, sometimes people call it Genesis. But here we go. Check out this column. And you see right here, if you look really closely, what's that above those letters? It's dots.
You mean somebody didn't make a mess on that page?
Well, it does kind of look like it, doesn't it? Like a bunch of maybe ink stains or something in the Torah. Do you think this is an accident, Sonny?
I don't know.
Let me tell you something. There are no accidents in the Torah. These dots above this word are very, very important. Now, there are a few places in the Torah with lots of little dots, actually. This one's my favorite because there's a story behind it. You see, what's happening in the Torah at this time is Jacob, Yaakov, is reunited with his brother Esav for the first time in 20 years.
Whoa, did they recognize each other?
Well, yes, but what you may not know is that the last time they saw each other, it wasn't so good. Esav, he really wanted to hurt Jacob really bad. Jacob took a few things that belonged to Esav without asking, and then Esav got really mad and Jacob had to run away. The point is, 20 years pass. They've both grown up, and now they meet again. And what happens is this word, this Hebrew word that has these dots above it, it means that they kissed, they hugged, and they kissed each other. It says, in fact, that Esav kissed Jacob's neck. That's what it says in the Hebrew. So what's the dots? Well, the rabbis say the dots say that when Esav went to give Jacob a kiss on his neck, he actually gave him a little bite. And these are the teeth marks.
What?
Yeah, so they reconciled, they made up, but Esav was still a little bit angry. Either that or Esav was actually a vampire.
Huh. Well, it is almost, that holiday, Halloween.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Maybe you
Purim.
have vampires on the brain, Rabbi Matthew.
Maybe. Anyway, isn't that cool with the dots?
It's really neat. I've never heard that story before.
Well, now you do it. Now you know it. So, you ready to keep going?
Yeah.
Let's do it. As you can see here, as we go to the next stop later on in the Torah, this is what I was talking about, one of those big breaks between the books. So this is where we move from the book of Breshit to the next book of Shemot. Now Shemot, or Exodus, has some really cool moments in the Torah and really cool moments in the history of the Jewish people.
Like what?
Well, have you ever heard of the splitting of the sea?
Yeah.
Check this out. This is the way it looks in the Torah. Whoa! This is maybe the coolest page in the whole Torah. Look at how it's so laid out with all these spaces and everything like this.
It's beautiful.
Some people say it's meant to look kind of like how the sea was, with the two walls of the sea on both sides.
Whoa, Rabbi Matthew, you just blew my mind.
Well, I'm glad you like it, because this is one of the best Torah readings too. People always stand in synagogue for it. You sing it with a special tune, with a special melody. They call it Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. So right after Bnei Israel, the Israelites went through with the sea parted, they sang this song, and this is the way it looks in the Torah, with all these weird gaps. Some people think it looks like building blocks or bricks. Other people say that the white spaces between the words are places for us to put in our own interpretations. Whatever the explanation, I think we can all agree this is a pretty cool, eye-catching spot in the Torah. Haha, pretty good.
Well, hello. Hello.
Who's
hello,
this?
hello. Hi. I am Abraham. Abraham Avinu.
Abraham.
Yeah.
You're one of the characters in the Torah. It's so great to have you for our tour. When did you get here?
Well, I was visiting all the sukkahs here in Winnipeg, and then they told me that I have to be isolated for 15 days. So here I am.
Does this mean that I need to be isolated for 15 days?
I don't know.
We can figure that out after. But I'm glad you're here for the Torah tour.
Yeah, and actually, because I was born before the Torah was revealed to the Jewish people, I've never seen the Torah.
Are you serious? Well, we can't go backwards in the Torah, Abraham, to see your name and where they're in there. But take it from me. You are in there. Why don't you join me as we keep going forward?
That's a great idea, Rabbi Matthew.
Awesome. So now we've got you and we've got our friend Abraham. Maybe we'll see Sunny again or other friends. But pretty much right after this splitting of the sea, this Shirat Hayam, we get to Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, which is where the Jewish people, Bnei Israel, received the Torah from God. And it includes something very famous a lot of people have heard of, Aseret HaDibrot. Sometimes in English we call it the Ten Commandments. Have you heard of this?
Kind of.
Well, Abraham, I'm about to blow your mind. It starts here at the bottom of this column. This is the beginning of the Ten Commandments. And it continues over into the next column to the top. The Ten Commandments, the start of the laws that the Jewish people received from Hashem.
That's amazing.
I like it too. I think it's pretty cool. It's another one of those very special Torah readings where people in synagogues stand because we like to recreate what it was like for our ancestors at Har Sinai. Were you at Har Sinai?
I don't remember. I might have. I think we call it differently back then.
What did you call it?
I don't know. With some kind of weird word in Aramaic.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, my Aramaic is very rusty, so I'm not going to go there. Why don't we keep going through the Torah, okay, Abraham?
Let's get to it.
After we get through the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus, we get to another book called Vayikra, Leviticus. And I'll tell you a little secret. There's not a lot of exciting stuff in Vayikra. It's a lot of laws and rules and not a lot of story. And there's no splitting of seas or 10 Commandments or anything like that. And there's no bite marks in the Torah. It's a little dry.
So, in that case, if you don't mind, I'm gonna kind of keep going my way. There's
Okay.
lots of places that I want to know of Winnipeg.
Well, enjoy your tour of Winnipeg, but if you want to come back, there are some cool spots in the Torah we'll be seeing later on, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thanks for dropping by, Abraham.
Thank you for your teaching. Bye, everyone.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Well, Abraham is leaving, but hopefully you'll stay because now we're going to get to the fourth book, which is Bamidbar, Numbers. And there's a few more really cool places in the Torah I want to show you. I have to be honest, I may need a little bit of help with the next spot in the tour. It's a weird spot for me. It's still in the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. Come take a look at this. You see this right here? This line in the Torah is very famous. We use it in our Siddur, in our prayer book, in our services. Anytime we open the ark and take the Torah out of the ark and read from it, like we do on Simchat Torah, we say, Vayehi bin Soharon Vayomer Moshe. Have you heard that before? Well, it comes from the Torah. It comes from right here. These are those words. But look, there's something very weird at the beginning and the end of this little section. Almost like backwards or upside down letters. But I can't quite make it out. If only I had a little bit of help. Maybe the mitzvah tree would know what these letters are.
Well, hello.
Mitzvah tree! Ah, perfect timing. Did you happen to hear what I said? I need a little bit of help identifying these strange letters in the Torah here around Vayehi bin Soharon. Have you ever seen this before? Can you make anything of it?
Well, I kind of know it. But you see, in these days, I can't find anything myself. I lost all my leaves now that we are in the fall.
So you need me to help you, but I need you to help me.
Well, maybe between the two of us, we can figure that out.
Well, let's try. It looks to me like these are the letter Nun. Would you agree?
Yes, that's what it is. But why is it upside down?
Yeah, upside down, maybe a little bit backwards. Actually, different Torah scrolls, sometimes they're upside down, sometimes they're backwards, sometimes they're upside down and backwards. It's pretty weird. And can I tell you the truth, Mitzvah Tree? I've never really heard a great explanation for what they're supposed to mean. Lots of people say different things, but the truth is, they're a bit of a mystery. They're maybe the biggest mystery, not Mitzvah Tree, mystery in the Torah.
Wow, so maybe instead of a mitzvah tree, you need a mystery bush.
Maybe. I never knew there was such a thing as a mystery bush. All I know, one time someone said to me that it's possible that these lines, Vayhi bin Soharon, were supposed to be in a different place in the Torah, and maybe they needed to be moved. And that these backwards, upside down nuns were supposed to mark it so that maybe one day they could be moved to a different part of the Torah? Seems kind of strange. Like I told you, it's a bit of a weird situation, but that's the best I can come up with. All I know is they look pretty cool.
They do. Wow, thank you for that, Rabbi Matthew.
Well, Mitzvah Tree, thank you for stopping by. I hope that the winter is not too cold for you and that the next time I see you, your leaves are back.
Okay, I'm going to get some of my leaves if I can find them. Bye.
Bye, Mitzvah Tree.
Bye-bye.
We have one more book left in the Torah. Come and check it out with me. The last book of the Torah is called Dvarim, or in English, Deuteronomy. And it has maybe the most famous line in the whole Torah. And remember I told you that there are some bigger letters in the Torah? Well, there are going to be two in this line. Come check it out. Look. Oh, Sonny, you're back. Whew, just in time. Can I show you what I was about to show everybody back home?
Yeah!
Okay, well, do you see the two huge letters? There's a big Ayin and a big Dalet. And they mark this line, which you may not be able to see it, but it says, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Whoa!
Ever heard that line before, Sonny?
Yeah!
I'll bet you have.
We sing it at bedtime.
Yep.
Sometimes I even sing it in the morning.
Yep.
I've heard it at shul.
Yep.
And it's even written on a teeny tiny scroll in the mezuzah on the doorpost of my house.
It's amazing, right? It's one of the most important lines in Judaism, and it comes from right here in the Torah. And even more special, they have these big letters.
But why?
Well, there's a story. You see, Ayin and Daled together spell Ed, which is the Hebrew word for witness. And it's because the Shema prayer is supposed to be like a witness. Because what does the Shema prayer talk about? It's basically the philosophy of Judaism. We have one God, and that God is Adonai, our God. One God. Remember, when Judaism came around, all the other religions, they had lots of gods. Hundreds, thousands. Judaism came around and said, one God. This is a big deal, a game changer. And so that line with those as a witness for all time about what Judaism is all about looks even more special in the Torah.
Adonai Echad.
You got it, Sonny. Pretty great.
Thanks for showing me.
Will you hang around so I can show you the end of the Torah tour? Because we're almost there.
I would love to.
Check this out. One more stop before the end. This is also laid out pretty interesting. Two long columns. Almost like a poem. And you know what?
Love poems.
Me too. Though this poem is actually kind of a challenging poem. Some poetry is tough to understand. This poem is sometimes called a song, actually. Sometimes they call it a song, sometimes they call it a poem, but it's called the Song or Poem of Moses. You see, Moses, he appears in book number 2, Shemot, and he is the main character of the Torah until the very end. And the Torah ends actually with him as an old man, 120 years old, and he dies. But before he does, he writes down a special, kind of angry poem. And this is it. And it actually continues on to the next column. See how special it is with the way it's laid out? Very neat.
Do you think he was writing out his feelings?
Oh, I definitely think he was writing out his feelings.
My
But
mom sometimes talks about that,
about writing out your feelings?
Yeah.
That's good.
I didn't know people did that in the Torah too.
Yeah, it's hard to say if this was supposed to be something that Moses kept for himself or if he wanted to share it with people, but if he didn't want to share it, he probably shouldn't have written it down and put it in the Torah.
Good point.
So, but he did. It's okay, we have it, and it looks pretty cool.
Sure
And
does.
It's the Song of Moses, almost at the end of the Torah. Which brings us to our last stop. Check this out. The last page, well not page, the last column of the Torah. Here it is. And remember I asked you what the first word of the Torah is? First letter, I mean. Look at the bottom and check out the last letter of the Torah. You were good with the first letter. What's the last letter, Sonny?
Give me a clue.
Well, the word is Yisrael.
Oh, that's right. That's that letter. It's extra long. It's a lamed.
Sonny, you did it again. Now, here's a cool little teaching to finish off our tour. On Simchat Torah, when we finish reading the Torah, we immediately go to the very beginning and we start reading the Torah again. We don't wait. We finish it, we go right back to starting it again. Most people don't read books like this. When you finish a book, it's over. Or when you finish a movie, it's over. But we always go back and we restart the Torah. The Torah is so special and we're always looking for new things. Which means if you connect the last letter of the Torah, Lamed, to the first letter of the Torah, Bet, you get Lev. Do you know what Lev is?
Heart.
A heart.
I love hearts.
Yep.
You
And this,
just blew my mind again.
and this is a way for us, without even sometimes thinking about it, to be reminded that we need to have a love for the Torah.
Well, I do. Don't you?
Of course. And I hope after this Torah tour, you do too. So, Sonny, everybody back home, and all of our other friends who joined us during this tour, wishing you a Chag Sameach. And remember, there are lots of great things to notice in the Torah. You can always come down or send a message to any of us, any of our friends. We love the Torah, and we hope that you do too. Thanks.
Bye, Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach, everyone. And yeah, that was so much fun to put it together, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. So this is the spirit of Simchat Torah, the spirit of joy, and to rejoice with the gift of Torah. And now that we took the Torah out with the Akafot, we did the Torah tour, we have one more thing that is really, really important, and that is to read the end of the Torah, and then to go back to the beginning and to read the very beginning of the Torah, because the Torah never ends. It's like life. You know, you finish one cycle and you immediately start a new one. It's very interesting that the goal of the Israelites when they left Egypt was to enter to the Promised Land, but that never happens in the Torah. In fact, they are at the border of the Promised Land, and when they're about to enter, what happened? Back to Bereshit, back to the beginning. Why? Because that's the way we should take life. We should never say, that's it, I came up to here, I'm happy where I am. No, you have to always keep moving forward. You finish one stage and you immediately start the next. So we are going to do that. So what we do is, first we call the one who ends the Torah is called the Chatan Torah or Kala Torah if it's a woman. which this is the case. I won't say the name because we have a special way to call the person who is going to say the blessing for the last part of the Torah. And it's a very long text in Hebrew, and I will say it in English. And I hope you pay attention because at the end, it's almost like I need some drum rolls. We are going to reveal who is our Kalat Torah. Pay attention. It goes like this. It's kind of long, but it's all about the honor of the person who is finishing the Torah this year. With approval of God, great, mighty, and revered, and with approval of Torah, more precious than gold and pearls, and with approval of the Sanhedrin, holy and purified, and with approval of the heads of colleges and leaders of Torah, and with approval of old and young who sit in class, I open my mouth with song and melody to give thanks and praise to God who dwells in light, who has kept us alive and sustained us in pure reverence for God and brought us to rejoice at this Simchat Torah that gladdens the hearts and brightens the eyes, gives life and wealth and honor and respect, gratifies its followers with a path both good and upright, brings long life and increases vigor for its devotees and observers for their demanding care, for its students and guardians for their love and reverence. And so, may the divine power be willing to grant life, grace, coronet, and crown to, drum rolls, Dr. Rina Sekter Elbaz, who has been chosen to finish reading the Torah this year, to strengthen, bless, and nurture her in Torah study, to seek her welfare, honor her, and put her on committees to award her merits, sustenance, and Torah honors, to direct her, fulfill her, and teach her lessons and logic, to save her, raise her up, to feed her with fine food, to delight her, sustain her, vindicate her among the created people, to bring her close, be kind to her, and keep her from all trouble and sorrow, to support, bear her up, and sustain her when she suffered a broken spirit. Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Dr. Rina Sekter Elbaz, bride of the Torah, ascribe glory to God, great and awesome. So, may you merit from awesome God to see children and grandchildren busy with Torah, fulfilling their obligations among people lovely and pure. And so may you merit to rejoice with the joy of the temple. May your face beam with righteousness, with enlightening revelation, as Isaiah foretold. The Messiah will be filled with a spirit of wise counsel and conviction. Rejoice with Jerusalem. Find joy in her. Let them rejoice with delight, all who mourn for her, in grief and distress. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Dr. Rina Sekter Elbaz, bride of the Torah, Kalat Torah, with approval of all this holy congregation, and complete the reading of the Torah. Stand up, Dr. Rina Sekter Elbaz, bride of the Torah.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim venatan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Vayivku b'nei Yisrael et Moshe barvot Moav 30 yom vayitmu yemei v'chi eva Moshe Yoshua binun maleh ruach chachma ki samach Moshe et yadav elav vayishmeu elav b'nei Yisrael Vayasu kasher tiva Adonai et Moshe ולא קם נביא עוד בישראל כמשה, אשר יראו אדוני פנים ואל פנים, לכל האותות והמופתים, אשר שלחו אדוני לעשות בארץ מצרים, לפרעה ולכל עבדיו ולכל ארצו, ולכל היד החזקה ולכל המורה הגדול, אשר עשה משה לעיני כל ישראל.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Kol hakavod to Dr. Rina Sektor Elbaz, our Engagement and Education Director at Congregation Shari Zedek. Thank you so much. You deserve the honor of being the one finishing the reading of the Torah this year. Thank you for all your hard work at Congregation Shari Zedek. And now it's time to call up to whoever is going to begin the Torah anew. And usually for what we call the Hatan Breishit, the groom of Breishit or the bride of Breishit, depends on, in this case, I'm telling you a little hint. It's going to be 4 people, and because there are some boys and some girls there, so we call it the bride and groom of Breishit. And we usually reserve this for what we call the potential, for somebody who we know they are destined to do great things in the Jewish community. And it's a great honor to invite this family to be the bride and grooms of Breishit. I'm not going to announce the name quite yet, because we have a special way to call up these important and valuable and special people, that they are part of the family of Shari Zedek. And it goes like this. With approval of God, exalted above all blessing and song, revered above all prayer and hymn, wise and strong in power, in might guiding the world, ruling all creation, and with approval of the glorious Torah, a princess found only in the study hall, God's first possession, treasure for 2,000 years. The Torah is pure and perfect, restoring and refreshing a person, granted as a legacy to Yeshurun, to follow its rules and keep it for its students, the scholars of Yaakov, to open and close it. The full glory of the Jewish community's leader, whose influence is extensive. Those who sit in judgment, who bring the fight for truth to the court gate. The heads of the academies, the heads of the scattered communities of exile, and with the permission of the virtuous group, the happy congregation, elderly and youngsters, in every room of the classroom, gather here today for Simchat Torah, and who will stay to complete and begin it with joy and reverence. They love the Torah as on the day it was given. In glory they adorn themselves with it, like a new thing, not like something old and outdated, thirsting to extract and enjoy its precious radiance that cheers the heart and removes misery. Its comfort brings the light with which they make their souls splendid and study the Torah's texts and stories, Mishnah and Talmud. They willingly bring their children to the prayer house, and they too do good deeds carefully. May God grant them great reward, lasting joy bound on their head, yearnings to see the temple built. It's plain to see we all agree as I bring our honorees from the company. An understanding heart have they to expound the Torah's intricacy. With righteousness and sympathy they seek the path of morality, stirred to generosity, moved to begin, the first to be, opening the Torah reading. Now, stand up. Jeff, Joanne, Leo and Sammy, Saif, Marcus. Stand and get ready. Come, stand on my right and read the creation story to honor the rock who created the world. This is why we keep the beginning next to the ending, so nobody can slander our people by saying we neglect our duty. Since you are first for this great obligation, how great is your goodness, how generous your reward. Big-hearted friends, be blessed for your generosity. Be blessed with your Creator's blessing to keep your power undiminished. For everyone who honors Torah with adornment, may the body be honored with energy to enjoy. Quickly, stand up, stand up, stand up, Jeff, Joanne, Leo, and Sammy, bride and grooms of Bereshit, with approval of this holy congregation, to bless great and awesome God. Let everyone answer you, Amen, without delay. Stand up, Jeff, Joanne, Leo, and Sammy, bride and grooms of Bereshit.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach, Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher b'charvanu mikol ha'amim, v'natamani leTorato, Baruch Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Haaretz hayta tohu vavohu lechoshech al pnei tehom. Veruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. Vayomer Elohim yehi or vayehi or. Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov. Vayavdel Elohim ben haor uven hachoshech. Vayikra Elohim laor yom v'lachoshech kara laila. Vayehi erev vayehi boker yom echad.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'sefenu. Baruch Adonai Noten HaTorah. Hag Simchat Torah Sameach.
Kol hakavod to Jeff, Joanne, Leo, and Sammy, great friends of Shari Zedek. And whenever we were able to meet in person, they were there every Saturday for the family service, bringing joy and uplifting all our spirits. So thank you so much for accepting this important honor to starting the Torah. We know that we are going to see great things from you, and we are very honored that you chose Shari Zedek as your spiritual home. So, Kol HaKavod, Mazal Tov, and Chag Sameach. And so, this basically completes the formal part of Simchat Torah. We're very honored that you are there joining us, that you tuned in, and you're here with us. Now, we have one more thing, and is just to stay a little longer, singing and dancing. So now, don't feel that you have an obligation to stay. We finished the formal part of the service. We thank you again, Rabbi Matthew Leibel, Dr. Rina Sekter-Albaz, Bill Weissman, Leslie Emery, Marvin Polanski, and Robert Didich for all their wonderful participation in different stages to put this together. And we thank you, all of you, for being there. And please stay a little longer to sing and to dance a little more, to celebrate the Torah. Remember, if you want, tomorrow morning we have the service at 10 a.m. We have the Simchat Torah morning combined with a bar mitzvah. It's going to be something very, very special. So thank you for tuning in, and stay safe. See you soon, and please stay to sing and dance. Going to prepare my keyboard here, and I have a few songs for you. Let's get into the right mood. אני מאמין באמונה שלמה, ואתה משיח אני מאמין. אני מאמין באמונה שלמה, ואתה משיח אני מאמין. We want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach, Mashiach now. אני מאמין באמונה שלמה, ואתה משיח אני מאמין. אני מאמין באמונה שלמה, ואתה משיח אני מאמין. We want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach, Mashiach now. ציון, 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 הלא תשאלי, הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. ציון, 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 הלא תשאלי, הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. איי, 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 ציון. איי, 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 ציון. הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. איי, 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 ציון. איי, 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 ציון. הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. ציון, 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 הלא תשאלי, הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. ציון, 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 הלא תשאלי, הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. איי, 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 ציון. איי, 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 ציון. הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. איי, 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 ציון. איי, 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 ציון. הלא תשאלי, בשלום עתידאי. יברכך השם מציון, ורבטוב ירושלים. יברכך השם מציון, כל ימי ימי חייך. ורבנים לבניך, שלום על ישראל. 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 בשמחת בחגך, והיית שמח. בשמחת בחגך, והיית שמח. שיבנה שיבנה בית המקדש, שיבנה. 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 במהרה, 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 במהרה בימינו. במהרה, 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 במהרה בימינו. שיבנה, שיבנה בית המקדש, שיבנה. שיבנה, שיבנה בית המקדש, שיבנה. שיבנה, שיבנה בית המקדש, שיבנה. שיבנה שיבנה בית המקדש שיבנה בימדה 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 ויאמנו בימדה 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 ויאמנו אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח אני מאמין משיח 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 אוי 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 משיח 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 אוי 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 משיח 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 אוי 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 משיח 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 אוי 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 ואף על פי שיתמהמה עם כל זה אחכה לו וכל יום שיבוא ואף על פי שיתמהמה עם כל זה אחכה לו וכל יום שיבוא 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 ישראל 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 בטח בא השם ישראל 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 עזרם ומגינם ישראל 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 בטח בא השם ישראל 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 עזרם ומגינם ישראל 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 בטח בא השם ישראל 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 עזרם ומגינם שישו ושמחו בשמחת תורה ותנו כבוד לתורה שישו ושמחו בשמחת תורה ותנו כבוד בתורה שישו ושמחו בשמחת תורה ותנו כבוד בתורה שישו ושמחו בשמחת תורה ותנו כבוד לתורה שישו ושמחו בשמחת תורה ותנו כבוד לתורה שישו ושמחו בשמחת תורה ותנו כבוד לתורה צנע 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 עבר תורנה חיילים במושבה אנא 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 אל תתיירנה מבין חיל אל צבא צנע צנע עבר תורנה חיילים במושבה אנא אנא אל תתיירנה מבין חיל צבא צנע 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 la 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 Thank you, everyone, for being with us, for celebrating Simchat Torah together. Oh, look who's here. My wife has been watching. So nice. Okay, it's good that everybody was dancing. I hope everybody was singing. So nice to be together. And so I always say, stay safe, Enjoy the rest of the day. Tomorrow is also Simchat Torah, so it's also day of celebration. Our service starts at 10 a.m. Hope to see you all there. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Bye now. Chag Sameach.